Sydney wanted to just dance at Lady Gaga on Saturday night until a dancer fell off the edge of glory, abruptly raining on our parade. Welcome everyone, Brendan the Blind Guy here, and welcome to the Boombox.
Just give me that. Boom, boom, boom. Just give me that. Boom, boom. Just give me that.
First up, one of the key moments of the Lady Gaga concert last Saturday night in Sydney was when dancer Michael Demeski fell off the runway, abruptly pausing the show. Now, it was quite a sobering and wow moment, because we were all just like, whoa, I hope he's okay. He just fell off the catwalk there. You know, he could have broken a leg, literally, or, you know, broken his back or whatever. Luckily, Lady Gaga herself stopped the show, and it wasn't just shoving it off to security or whatever, going, you know, take care of the guy and on with the show. No, Lady Gaga herself, which is quite admirable, stopped the show and said to us all, just give us 5 minutes everyone, we need to check on the guy and put grip pads on everyone, including me's shoes.
Just 1 second. You okay? You just had an accident on the stage, everything's okay, just everyone wait a second please. You okay? You okay? You okay? Everybody just bear with us tonight with the rain. We're doing a lot of dancing up here, so it's a slip and slide.
So 5 minutes later, Michael Demeski makes a triumphant return back onto the stage with no major injuries sustained, so just some serious bruising, luckily. Thank God for that. And to finish the show with Lady Gaga. So Lady Gaga or Coldplay? Okay, so a friend of mine who went to both Lady Gaga over the weekend and the most recent Music of the Spheres Coldplay World Tour in Sydney, thought that Lady Gaga was better than Coldplay. And Coldplay is the best show I've ever been to. I asked myself, okay, so my friend was telling me all about the spectacles of Lady Gaga, and I'm like, yeah, that is pretty amazing, pretty epic. Would I say Lady Gaga is better than Coldplay? No. But would I say Coldplay is better than Lady Gaga? Also no. It's two completely different kinds of shows. Yes, they're both concerts and, you know, musical, but they're two completely different kinds of shows, like comparing apples to oranges. So Lady Gaga, you've got this epic production and stage presence and like all of the props on stage that honestly, I don't think any concert will ever beat that. There was medieval castles on stage, there was sand pits that were half burying Lady Gaga while she laid next to a skeleton, Viking ship wheeled onto the stage, which Lady Gaga was on. There was a massive skull, which she was sitting in at one point. There was a prop of pianos lined up without the keys forming a runway. Just to clarify, I didn't actually see all of this, guys. My friend told me about it. Just in case anyone was wondering, hang on, isn't he blind? And, of course, the sound, the most important part, between Lady Gaga and the backup dancers and singers was absolutely incredible too. Yes, Lady Gaga did interact with the crowd, of course, but because of the show being so precise and having, you know, everything needing to go from one to the other without stuffing up the momentum, or else, you know, you're gonna have a domino effect. So of course she's not able to really individually connect with the audience like Coldplay does. That's just where the two different kinds of shows are completely different. Whereas Coldplay, the focus was really on their performance. Even though Chris's dancing and rocking out isn't choreographed, it'd be a bit silly if Coldplay had backup dancers and everything. Ooh, actually.
Cause you're a sky full of stars. I'm gonna give you my heart.
So maybe backup dancers would be good at a Coldplay show, maybe. Yeah, Chris Martin, I'm free for, you know, trials if you want. But no, in all seriousness, so at a Coldplay show, it would distract from Chris Martin's natural dancing, and he has so much fun, natural fun on stage, and he connects with the audience on a really personal level. Like, he got, you know, this random blind guy in Sydney up on stage because he was holding a sign that says drumstick for blind guy. And Chris Martin saw it and said, oh, I've never had a blind person up on stage. You want to come up? I mean, that's pretty epic. You know, so would I say Coldplay is better than Gaga? Well, yeah, because I got to get pulled up on stage and I personally like Coldplay better. In all seriousness, no, again, they're two completely different shows. Yeah, it just really depends on what kind of concert you want, whether it's a natural spectacle of like just a natural party. I know I'm saying natural quite a lot. Whereas Coldplay, yes, did have really good production. There was lights, fireworks, and, you know, beach balls. Sorry, Shirley Manson, you wouldn't like a Coldplay concert. Yes, there are beach balls. And, you know, it's got all of that. But the focus isn't on all of that. It's on the music and bringing everyone together. So, again, apples and oranges. So when a guy in his 60s is crowd surfed, you know it's good. I mean, of course, The Living End playing last Friday night at the Sydney Opera House Forecourt for the I Only Trust Rock and Roll album tour, which was absolutely incredible, which no surprise there, because The Living End of the past 3 decades, anyone who's a fan of Aussie rock knows that The Living End know their shit. And they just always put on an epic show. So this show was 2 sets. So the first set was hits from multiple albums, including their, you know, latest album, I Only Trust Rock and Roll. Then the second set was pretty special. After about a 10-minute break, they came back out and played the debut self-titled album from start to finish. However, they did mix up a couple of songs towards the end, being an outdoor setup, and the stage was like, you can imagine a major festival main stage kind of setup in front of the picturesque, iconic Sydney Opera House. It really brought a festival vibe to the show that was a pub rock gritty band. It was just 3 VB drinking Aussies all having fun banging around instruments that sounded really good. And yes, there was literally a guy who my friend said he was grey and would have looked like he was in his 60s. I apologise if it turns out that guy was only in his 30s, but yeah. He was crowd surfing, and as much as I really fucking hate crowd surfers, respect to that man for living his best life. I really can't fault him for that. Check out the full review on the Keen Eye for Concerts website. It was quite a good show. So on Wednesday, I got to unleash the inner mutant. Sydney hard rock alternative outfit Red Hook, which I absolutely love and adore and seen quite a few times, and will see quite a few more times, played at Sydney's Crowbar for the Crowbar Birthday Week celebration. So it wasn't an album tour, but honestly, this show, I haven't rocked out so fiercely at a concert in such a long time. I was drenched in sweat and my legs were so sore. This was partly because it was just a raucous show. It sounded great. The energy in the pub was super high and charged. It really felt like a party. Lead singer Emmy, she was just interacting with the audience, strutting around the stage, owning it, as she always does. I had space at the front to really rock out and dance, not just groove and jiggle, which was really cool. So I did get to unleash, which was nice. There was stage props even. For a small pub venue, I wasn't expecting like great production and, you know, stage props and everything, but there was. So I was thoroughly impressed, and that was definitely a highlight gig of 2025. Keep a keen eye out for the full review of that show coming soon. Okay, so even though it was last week's news, of course, about Shirley Manson from Garbage, her absolute disgusting rant at the beach ball guy at Good Things Festival in Victoria, it is still flowing and there are updates on it. Garbage was playing their Sydney sideshow at the Sydney Opera House. Now this was last Sunday, shortly after the absolute tragic Bondi shooting. So Shirley addressed the crowd, don't quote me word for word, but it was along the lines of, This is absolute tragedy, and you know, we should all be united and brought together, and music will bring us through all of this. And then addressed her rant and outrage at the beach ball guy by saying, the difference between me with my outburst at Good Things Festival and the shooters at Bondi was I didn't, you know, follow through with my threats of violence. Like, come on, Shirley, is it really so hard to just admit that you're wrong, that you made a mistake and apologize? Seriously, how hard is it to say, sorry, I messed up? You're actually trying to defend your actions by putting it in comparison to this absolute tragedy. Seriously, that's disgusting. And I must mention, Red Hook did really take the piss out of Shirley last night, and there were beach balls at the Crowbar. Definitely keep a keen eye out for that review. Okay, finally, to wrap things up, thank you so much everyone for watching, liking and commenting. I'm loving the comments. Please keep them coming. The likes, the comments and the subscribers and the shares. And thank you so much for the band recommendations, and keep those coming too. Now, until next time, keep a keen eye for concerts and bring on the boom.
God, just give me that.